Hey, Shalom, Israel, Most High, Christ bless. Welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes with the Captain. I'm your host today, Captain Zabit. Today we're going to be talking about the chain of command. Why does it matter? Why it is important? Why did God put it in his Bible that we got to have one? Let's go to the scripture first. Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 14. Let's go.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 14. And he answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken is good for us to do.
The things that was passed from Jethro to Moses is good for us to do. It's good for us to establish this chain of command. Go ahead.
So I took the chief of our tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes.
So there you go. You got a chain of command, captains of thousands, captains of hundreds, right? Captains of tens. Why did God put this in place for us, right? What does a chain of command do for us, right? Some notes I took, some things that the chain of command does for you. It keeps and creates efficiency, right? It creates discipline. It creates support for subordinates. It also creates potential for growth. You can see how to and where to grow from, right? I'm a soldier. Guess what? I can become an officer 10, officer 20, officer 50 one day, a captain, a deacon. You can see your potential for growth, which also inspires those subordinates, right? Let's go to the scripture. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 14. Those are some benefits to the chain of command: efficiency, right? Potential for growth, discipline. Come on, let's go.
This is the book of Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14.
Yeah.
Where no counsel is, the people fall. And in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
So if you don't have no counsel, right, the people going to fall. We got to understand, Israel, we are in a war. I know it's hard for us to believe, right? But we are currently in the midst of an actual war. Right now it's spiritual, right? But those enemies of God have also come forth and did things to hurt us physically as well, right? When we look at like the crack epidemic, right? We look at the plague that just recently passed, right? All these different things, all these different tools that has happened to us, right? But currently, us on our side, we're in a spiritual war. We're going to take losses when this war gets physical, right? Read that scripture again.
This book of Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14.
Yeah.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
The people fall. If the chain of command doesn't sit down and lay out a plan of efficiency, right, the people are going to fall. We're going to put lives in danger. Go ahead.
But in the multitude of counselors.
But when that chain of command is active and communicating the way they're supposed to, go ahead.
There is safety.
There is safety. Not meaning that we'll never take any losses, because of course we're going to take losses in this war. It's war. People are going to be lost. But guess what? We'll be more effective and more efficient. When those losses come, we won't take as many hits, as many losses, because the chain of command is active. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 6.
Book of Proverbs chapter 24, verse 6.
Yeah.
For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety.
So when the chain of command is active, right, we know when and how to make that war. We're going to have the right strategy in order to create and know when to attack in that war. Spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, we're going to know when to attack, right? Because we're going to be effective. We're going to be efficient. We're going to have discipline, because that's what the chain of command creates. That's why we need it. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Because again, another key part of the chain of command is to inspire and to create potential growth, and for those subordinates to see potential growth in the future for themselves. Look at the scripture.
This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16.
Yeah.
Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old path.
So when you ask for the old path, you say, how did Bishop Nathaniel, how did Bishop Kenai, how did they get to the place where they got to? Ask for the old paths. Go ahead.
Where is the good way? And walk therein.
Yep.
And ye shall find rest for your souls.
You're going to find rest for your souls because you know which way to go. You see the potential of the growth ahead of you. Come on.
But they said, we will not walk therein.
So a lot of times, brothers say, I don't want to walk that way. I don't want to do that. I want to reinvent the wheel. I want to do my own thing. That's not following the chain of command, and that creates less efficiency because now we recreating the wheel. Now we starting over, creating a whole different chain of command when the Most already got something rolling for us. Let's go ahead. Let's move on, right? Why is it important for us to establish order, right? Inside of the chain of command, you got to have order. Let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 6. You know what? It's how to establish order. Because when I think about how you make a pancake, right? You might say, I need eggs, I need water, I need this, I need that, right? So what are the ingredients we need in order to establish order? Come on, 1 Samuel 10 and 6.
It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 6.
Yeah.
And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with him, and shall be turned into another man.
So the first thing we're going to need for us to establish that order is you brothers are going to have to be turned into another man. The man that you were before you came into the truth, you can't bring that man with you. You got to be another man now. You got to be a man that sees the importance of the chain of command, that respects the chain of command, that wants to be a part of the chain of command. Be it the head or the tail of the chain of command, you want to be a part of it because you know it's going to create growth and efficiency for everybody around you, right? Let's look at Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. So one of the main ingredients that we need in order to create that establish that order is for you to be changed into another man. Come on.
It's the book of Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
So another key ingredient in order for you to establish order is trust. You got to trust what? You got to trust that the Most High God is leading is leading where you at, right? If you're part of Israel United in Christ, you got to trust that the Most High God is leading those brothers that was set up before you. You got to trust that. And a lot of times our brothers and sisters struggle with trust. You got to create trust first and second and foremost, right? The first thing is you be changed. The next thing is you trust that and how do you look at what trust is, right? What the first thing you got to do is apply the commandments, right? And then make sure the brothers around you that's part of your chain of command are applying the commandments. And if they applying the commandments, you should be able to trust them. Not saying that everybody going to be perfect. Nobody's going to make any mistakes because they got fringes on. Of course, people going to mess up, right? But we should create a level of trust, right? And that'll create more efficiency. What's the next thing you got to do? Let's look at Luke chapter 16 and verse 10. Come on.
This is the book of Luke chapter 16, verse 10.
Yeah.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much.
So you got another key thing in order to establish an order is reliability. Reliability from the top to the bottom. In order for that chain of command to work, you got to be reliable. Look at Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. A lot of times brothers just want to be reliable when they want to be reliable. Like we was talking about earlier when I was talking to some of the brothers, right? Your brothers say Lord's will, meaning they want to not hold themselves accountable or not be reliable for the things that they do. And they want to say Lord's will in order to use that as an excuse. I see you brothers out there doing that. Come on, give me Colossians 3:23.
This is the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 23.
Yeah.
And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily.
Yep.
As to the Lord.
As to the Lord. Whatever you do, you should do it as if Christ is standing over your shoulder telling you to get it done. If captain, whoever, officer, whoever, soldier, whoever is asking you to accomplish a task, you should be reliable in getting that thing done. You should let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Not saying things, and again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with saying Lord's will, but when you use it as a cloak in order to alleviate yourself from what you should be doing and use it as an excuse on why things didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? That's not okay. All right, let's look at this, right? So the ingredients you need in order to establish that order, right? You need to have the right and a change of mindset, right? You got to also have trust. You got to also be reliable. And another key part is that we got to have the same vision. We got to have the same goal, the same foundation. That foundation is Christ, and that vision is for us as the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, to get the hell out of here and get back to our rightful place on this planet. What else is important? Communication. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16. Hebrews 13 and 16. We got to have reporting and communication. But the Negro likes to say to himself, I never really talk to people like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at this. Come on.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 16.
Yeah.
But to do good and to communicate, forget not.
Don't forget to communicate. God said don't forget to communicate. A lot of times people like send text messages, Facebooks, telegrams. You got to reach out and call people sometimes. You got to call people sometimes because the things get lost in the translation of text messaging. Things get lost in the world of whatever other application you using in order to just where you should just be able to reach out and have a phone call with somebody, right? How are you really getting to know if this brother that's in your chain of command is somebody that's really going to go to war with you if all you're doing is texting them? Like, come on, man. We got to have real communication, real dialogue to build this chain of command. Read that thing again.
Verse 16.
Yeah.
But to do good and to communicate, forget not.
Come on.
For with such sacrifices.
See, it's a sacrifice to most of you Negroes out there, most of you Hispanics out there. It's a sacrifice for you to go out of your way and call somebody and communicate with them. I ain't got time. I'm busy. I got work. I got the wife or the kids or whatever it might be. Communicate. Don't forget. Find a way. God said in order to establish this chain of command, you got to sacrifice. Come on.
For with such sacrifices, God is well pleased.
Yep.
Obey them that have the rule over you.
There you go. We still in the chain of command. He said, obey them that have the rule over you. Obey those like it established at the beginning of the Bible. When we looked at Deuteronomy, those captains of 10, captains of hundreds, whatever it might be. Now, in the body right here in IUIC, we got officers of 10, 20, 50, and so forth, captains and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Obey them that have the rule over you. Go ahead.
And submit yourselves.
Yes.
For they watch for your souls.
They watch for your soul, meaning those brothers and those people that are there set up as your chain of command want you to make it into the kingdom of heaven. And that goes back to what? Trust. Do they really want me to make it to the kingdom of heaven? Do they really want my life and my household and whatever it is I'm doing to be successful? Of course they do. It goes back to trust. They watch for your souls. Go ahead.
As they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you.
That's unprofitable for you. That's unprofitable for you in establishing the reliability of the chain of command. It's unprofitable for you in establishing a new mindset in the chain of command. It's unprofitable for you and you having the potential to even grow inside of the chain of command. Let's go to Job chapter 5, verse 17. Was that the end of that? Okay, let's go to Job chapter 5, verse 17.
It's the book of Job chapter 5, verse 17.
Yep.
Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth.
You see that? Inside of that reporting and communication, right? Correction is going to come. But a lot of times, the correction is not going to really create the change you want to create inside of a brother, right? That's so you done wrote him up or whatever it might be. And you wanted to, the purpose of you doing that is not so he could stay down. It's not so he could be destroyed. It's because you want to create growth out of that brother or sister. So you apply pressure to him. You apply correction to him because you want to create change. But how and why would they change if they don't believe and trust in the chain of command? That's why the communication is so important. I'm not gonna trust the fact that you say, hey, I did X, Y, Z right or wrong, and now I'm gonna apply this correction to you. I'm not gonna see it as correction. I'm gonna see it as he don't know what he's talking about anyway. I don't trust him anyway. I don't have he's not reliable anyway. Why should I listen to him? Because he's an officer? A lot of times in the chain of command, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and now you go to apply correction to somebody else, why would you think it's gonna create change inside of them if you haven't changed, right? A lot of times I like to say brothers like to give hypocritical counsel. They want to give counsel on things that they think that you should do that they won't do themselves. Read that scripture. Finish that scripture.
Verse 17.
Yeah.
Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the correcting of the Almighty.
Don't despise correction. Don't despise correction. And you, as the leader inside of that chain of command, you have to be willing to correct yourself first and foremost. You be reliable. You be trustworthy. You have the same vision and your goals align with what leadership has put in place. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 15.
It's the book of 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 15.
Yeah.
For so is the will of God, that with will doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
So read that again. For so is the will of God, that with well doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. Meaning when we do well, we're going to put these other nations to silence. We're going to put those non-believers, even amongst our people, to silence, because they're going to be able to see us standing up with order, with structure, with discipline, with efficiency. Come on.
Verse 16. As free,
meaning God is giving you the space to say, I'm going to join your army or not. I'm going to join this chain of command or not. As free, go ahead.
And not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God.
But as the servants of God, the army of God, the priest of God, the prophets of God. Go ahead.
Honor all men.
Honor that chain of command.
Love the brotherhood.
Love the brotherhood. Want to be a part of building the efficiency. Want to be a part of building that support and discipline of what God is establishing. Go ahead.
Fear God. Honor the king.
Honor the king.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also the forward.
Also to the forward. So you also want to be, some leaders are going to be rough around the edges, right? And some leaders are going to be a little bit more smooth, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, what's the word? Persuasive with their words, right? Go ahead.
For this is the thankworthy of a man, for concise towards God, endure grief, suffering wrongfully.
Yes, it says, for this is thankworthy if a man for conscience towards God endure grief. Meaning you might not always agree with that leader in the chain of command. You might not always agree, but if you believe and trust in what the order and what God has established, you're going to follow through. You're going to be reliable to that. You're going to be a part of that. Go ahead.
For what glory is it if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, for this is acceptable with God.
This is acceptable to God. When you do something right and you still get in trouble for it, this is acceptable for God. Sometimes inside of that chain of command, there are going to be things that's going to happen in order to create growth in you that you might not even think is necessary. That's why sometimes it say again, when ye do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently, meaning you say, you know what? The chain of command is working. The chain of command is creating efficiency inside of me. It's showing me my potential, my ability to grow. Because a lot of times in our own mind, we think we know what we need to grow, and we don't. The Most High is going to send leaders and prophets and teachers in order to establish that for you inside of his chain of command. So with that, Israel, we're going to say shalom. Most High Christ bless to you.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role